Hello. I wanted to talk today about the difference between keto adaptation and keto 100% forever. This is a concept that I run into a lot. People think that, oh, that's such a radical change to change my diet to keto. How could I ever sustain that? I really think that that is a holdover still from diet culture. This idea that it's something that we're going to do temporarily, or this idea that it's something that's going to be really hard and then we're going to go back to our normal, quote unquote, way of eating. And I think that there is a different way to approach this, and that is that understanding that what we are really doing here is reclaiming our metabolic flexibility. We're reclaiming a metabolic birthright, and that is the ability to burn fat for fuel as well as we burn glucose for fuel. And we're all born knowing how to do that. So what does that mean? That means for that period of time that we're doing keto adaptation, we do have to be uh, a little more strict about what we're doing, because we're really encouraging and kind of actually forcing the body to remember how to burn fat for fuel. And we're doing that by taking away those easy glucose carbohydrate sources. And so that period of keto adaptation is much more controlled in a way to create that result. And then once we get down the road, that 6 to 8 weeks of doing that to create keto adaptation, where we are adapted to burning ketones or fat for fuel, then we can do that process of finding how does this integrate more realistically into our life? How does that become more of a daily habit, of a lifetime habit that is sustainable? And I think what you will find is that you can create a way of moving forward, a way of eating that is both abundant, joyful, and yet still supportive of your health. And that is kind of a mostly keto. So you're still maintaining your keto adaptation. You're in ketosis a good part of the time, mild ketosis a good part of the time, but you don't have to stay in ketosis 100% of the time to maintain your keto adaptation. So that is where you have to find that line. It's going to be different for everyone. There are some folks who are going to want to be kind of more 100%, 95% keto for medical reasons. Other reasons that they might have to keep that stability and that stasis in that state. But for many of us, we can find where that line is and still have a little bit of flexibility with it, which can be a way to not feel mentally restricted 100% of the time, and yet still create those daily habits. So mostly keto most of the time, for those daily habits, in a way that still feels abundant and nourishing, and enjoyable, delightful, without feeling like, oh, I can't ever have X, Y, or Z, or I'm going to ruin my health, because that's not really a healthy way to live either. So I think that this idea of keto adaptation versus 100% keto is a little bit of less daunting approach, sort of from a mental standpoint, mindset standpoint. And I think it's a bit more approachable when we're at the top of, or I guess at the beginning of the road, looking ahead at what we're about to do. So I hope that that is inspiring for you, and I hope that that gives you a little more understanding in where we're going with all of this, and how this is becoming a lifestyle, how this is becoming something that will support your greater health over time. My hope is that this is something that will support your health for the rest of your life. That you will find a way to integrate these concepts and these tools in a way that will create health and wellness and vitality just as much in the second half of life as in the first half of life. So thank you so much for listening today. Have a wonderful day, and keto on.